PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has accused INEC of breaching election procedures and laws, but he says all hope is not lost as he urges Nigerians to go out on Saturday and vote. Afenifere leader Afenifere today in a statement endorses Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of the APC in the Lagos governorship election for a second term in office. Welcome to you, everyone, wherever you may be watching. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja. Let's begin by letting you know what is coming from the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party and a former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar, who is asking Nigerians to come out en masse and vote in defense of democracy on Saturday, March 18th, 2023. He has accused the electoral umpire INEC of breaching the electoral law in the conduct and transmission of results in the February 25th presidential polls. The former vice president said in a recorded video message that all hope is not lost, saying he will reclaim his mandate. Mr. Atiku in that broadcast urged Nigerians not to give in to voter apathy due to the inability of the electoral body to transmit the election result electronically in consonance with the provision of the Electoral Act 2022. Take a listen to him.
I thank you again for your non-violent conduct despite the provocations. Indeed, what the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC did in announcing the manipulated result was a clear breach of not only the 2022 Electoral Act, but also its own guidelines, which the Electoral Commission had repeatedly claimed would uphold the standards we had seen in the Osun and Ekiti elections. The INEC chairman further ignored calls for a review of the process in line with the amended law. My fellow citizens, all hope is not lost. You must never give in to apathy. I assure you that the electoral fraud perpetrated by INEC will be reversed in due course, as I champion the cause to reclaim our mandate. We as citizens must continue to show resilience in the defense of our democracy and in the exercise of our rights to vote. As the March 18th governorship and state houses of assembly elections beckon, I urge you as patriotic citizens of our dear country to come out in your numbers to cast your votes. That is one of the ways you can use to demonstrate against the sham of an election of February 25. As you cast your votes peacefully this Saturday and in observance of the Electoral Act and INEC guidelines, be sure to do so for the candidates of the PDP, the only truly national party for a greater and prosperous Nigeria.
That as a former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the PDP presidential candidate in the February 25th presidential election. Now, in an interesting twist, 3 days to the governorship election in Lagos State, the leader of a pan-Yoruba socio-cultural group, Afenifere, Ruben Fashoranti, has endorsed Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos for a second term. Fashoranti, in a statement signed by his administrative secretary, Chief Oladiran Adesua, he says Lagos as the country's economic nerve center and by extension Yoruba land deserve the best. The Yoruba leader has then called on the people of Lagos State to come out en masse on Saturday to cast their votes for the governorship candidate of the APC, Mr. Sanwo-Olu. So much to chew on tonight. Yesterday, you watched Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State. He spoke about his agenda, specifically said that there is a dangerous trend on what is happening in Bauchi State, and he did point at accusing fingers on the governorship candidate of the APC, saying is one behind the violence and some of the issues that they are seeing in, trailing the campaign before the governorship election. There are a lot of controversies that have been thrown up by that conversation. But tonight, we'll be speaking with the APC governorship candidate in Bauchi State. And from then, we will go to Kwara State to speak with the PDP governorship candidate in Kwara State. Let's tell you that there are invitations to the different states and governorship candidates across board to engage them on their plans and their agenda, their manifestos for the people of the different states, 28 states that will be having elections on Saturday, the 18th of March. But those of them who are able to confirm are the ones we are able to engage for the last 2 weeks or so that we started this series. But before we get into our conversation with my very first guest on the program, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
Thank you, Sheung. Good evening. I am Kayla Megwa, and these are your political roundup stories for today. The Supreme Court has dismissed an appeal by a governorship aspirant of the Labour Party in Plateau State, Mr. Johanna Margif, challenging the nomination of the candidate of the party, Mr. Patrick Dakum. Justice John Okoro dismissed the appeal following the withdrawal of the suit by the appellant, Margif, after discovering that the matter had become statute barred. Counsel to the appellant, Mr. Okpeyemi George Ojo, had pleaded with the Apex Court to invoke Section 22 of the Supreme Court Act to take over the matter and resolve all disputed issues in the interest of justice to his client. His persuasion was, however, rejected by the 5-man panel of justices of the court on the grounds that conditions precedent for the court to invoke Section 22 of the Supreme Court Act were not met. The People's Democratic Party presidential candidate in the 2023 presidential election, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, has asked Nigerians not to be discouraged by the outcome of the last election, but remain committed to the victory of the PDP in the forthcoming elections. He stated this shortly after arriving at the Yola International Airport ahead of the governorship and state assembly elections. He says Nigerians should not allow the performance of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to affect their decision to go out and cast their votes for the PDP.
It should rather be a challenge to Nigerians to strengthen, our democratic process and make sure that our democratic process is not undermined.
The governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Abia State, Mr. Alex Oti, has encouraged the electorate and party supporters in the state to ignore the purported threats by members of the People's Democratic Party-led government and come out en masse to vote for all the candidates of the Labour Party on Saturday, March the 18th. Mr. Oti, who stated this after his campaign rally in Umuahia, local government area of Abia State, urged the electorate to vote out the People's Democratic Party because the party has failed the people of the state since they came into power. As the 2023 governorship and State House of Assembly elections draw closer, the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State has stepped up campaigns, and the former governor of the state, Mr. Rotimi Amechi, is leading the charge. Mr. Amechi has been campaigning aggressively for the party's governorship candidate, Mr. Tonye Cole. He visited the popular Ilu Abuchi market in Port Harcourt City and Ogba Edemandoni local government area. The Ogun State Governor, Mr. Dakpo Abiodun, has assured residents of the Obafemi Owode local government in Ogun Central that all ongoing road infrastructure will be completed to improve the socio-economic well-being of the people if given the chance to govern the state for a second term. Governor Abiodun made the pledge after commissioning an ultra-modern fire service and emergency station at Mowe area of the state. While assuring residents of more development, he asked them to take ownership of the facility and ensure effective use. He also asked them to come out in their large numbers and vote for him. 15 governorship candidates in the Saturday, March 18 governorship election in Akwa Ibom State have signed a peace pact and reaffirmed their commitment to a peaceful electoral process in the state. The ceremony, coordinated by the Akwa Ibom State Commissioner of Police, Olatoye Durosimi, had in attendance heads of all the relevant security agencies, chairmen of the political parties, stakeholders of various civil society organizations, including the Nigeria Labour Congress and the traditional institutions. The Commissioner of Police, Akwa Ibom State, CP Olatoye Durosimi, assured everyone that the security agencies are committed to the maintenance of peace and security of lives and property before, during, and after the election. Ahead of this Saturday's governorship and House of Assembly elections in Cross Rivers State, some members of organized labor in the state have endorsed the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Basi Edet Otu, as their preferred choice. The endorsement was announced by the labor leaders during a courtesy visit to the state governor, Professor Ben Ayade, at the government house in Calabar. The immediate past state chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Comrade Ben Ukpekwi, explained that the organized labor visited the governor to intimate him of their choice. Governor Ayade, on his part, thanked them for their faith in his administration. And in Yobe State, the National Union of Yobe State Students has also thrown their weight behind the second-term ambition of Governor Mai Mala Buni because of what they say is the governor's remarkable efforts towards the education sector in the last 4 years. The president of the student group, Mr. Awal Gambo, presented the endorsement letter to the secretary to the state government. In his response, the secretary to the state government, Mr. Baba Malam, said the government is not surprised at the endorsement, looking at the cordial relationship between the government and the students. The coalition of civil society organizations who monitored the just concluded senatorial election in Abia North Senatorial District are calling on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to urgently address the irregularities that affected the exercise. Addressing journalists in Abuja, the head of the coalition, Mr. Rashid Shuaib, urged INEC to fix a date for a rerun of election in places where the election did not take place because of the irregularities. The group also appealed to the commission to critically investigate the distribution of both sensitive and non-sensitive materials ahead of this Saturday's governorship and state assembly election. Former Chief of Defense Staff General Martin Agwai and the Director General of the National Orientation Agency are asking political parties and their supporters to choose dialogue and legal redress over violence for the sake of the nation's stability. General Agwai was a special guest at the National Dialogue Initiative, which was held in Abuja. Other participants at the event also urged government institutions, such as the Independent National Electoral Commission and the judiciary, to pursue the course of justice, which they describe as a recipe for stability. Those are your political roundup stories for the day. It's back to you, Shem.
Thank you, Ada. Kayla, that's what we call her, though. That's what our other name, Ada. Kayla Megwa, thank you so much for those stories. Let's now begin our very first conversation for tonight, everyone. Yesterday, we had the governor of Bauchi State, who is equally the PDP governorship candidate in the Bauchi governorship race. He spoke at length about state of affairs in the state and the state of security, and his ambition and a manifesto going into the election of Saturday. Tonight, we'll be speaking to the APC governorship candidate in Bauchi, who is a former Chief of Air Staff, Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, who joins us live from Bauchi. Thank you so much, Marshal, for joining us tonight, and it's good to have you on the program. Let me start by asking you, as an opposition in Bauchi politics, how is the race going? What are the possibilities and the potential of your party, knowing full well that your party couldn't win Bauchi State in the presidential race?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I think we are doing very well. The APC is doing extremely well in Bauchi. Yes, we did not win overall in the presidential, but I think if you look at the votes, we are talking of over 40% of the votes we won about 40% of the votes for the APC in the presidential race. So, but currently, like I said, our situation is, we are doing very well. We have visited all the local governments, and it's very clear that the people are fed up with the PDP government because the government has failed, to provide, to bring about the required changes that the governor promised in 2019. And that's, this is a government that is not paying salaries. This is a government that is spending over close to about 9 billion to build an office for the governor, while you have 1.4 million out-of-school children. This is a government that is spending 9 billion to build an official, an office accommodation, when you have 1,549 women dying during birth for every 100,000 births. So, the scenario is set, for the PDP to actually vacate the office come on the 18th of March. So what the governor is worried about is we are challenging those issues. Why has he failed in the last 3 years to pay salaries? Why is he not paying pensioners? Why is he allowing 1,549 women to die for every 100,000 bucks? These are the fundamental issues. And the governor has tried as much as possible, unfortunately, him being the security officer of the state, to create insecurity. Wherever we go, especially at least in two local governments, his own hometown in Duguri, that's in Alkaleri local government, and then his party's, PDP party's chairman hometown in Akuyam, we were attacked. The last one was in Duguri, where some of our security agents, those that were with us, were injured. About 3 of them were admitted at the teaching hospital in Bauchi. They underwent surgery in order to remove some of the, in order to address the problems, or the injuries that they sustained. So clearly, PDP has failed in Bauchi State, and I'm sure that by the special grace of God, we are going to take over government in Bauchi State and will change the narratives of Bauchi State, God willing.
All right. So I will come to some of the, because you are touched on the issue of security, which interestingly, it was almost in the same manner when I was speaking with the governor yesterday. He delved also into the area of security without being prompted. It does mean that security is a major issue. We'll get there in just a moment. But, you, all your life, you've been a military man. You've been in khaki. You've been in a war front. You've been leading troops. I'm just looking at how swift you were able to change from being a man who takes and gives orders to now a man who subjects himself to a democratic process. How easy has it been for that switch?
I think it has been fairly easy. As military officers, we do not just learn about fighting war. The military profession is not just about fighting war. We attend colleges, like the Armed Forces Command and Staff College in Jaji. I attended the National War College, which is not dealing with just war issues, but those factors that generate insecurity that ultimately leads to war. So actually, it has not been difficult for one to really move from the military. Yes, the military is, you have a regimented kind of life, but here we are trained actually, even in the War College, to be able to accommodate different views, to interact with people, dialogue, reconcile people, and so on. So I think it has not been difficult for me to really fit in. I had the opportunity to teach at the Armed Forces Command and Staff College, and I had the opportunity to teach in the National Defense College. So these are not issues that are really too difficult. There's interrelationship between the political side and the military side. There's relationship between economy and security. There's relationship between politics and security. These are issues we have, been dealing with even at the Command and Staff College level, not to talk of the National War College level. So it has been very, very easy for me, no problems at all.
Have you always wanted to become governor of Bauchi State?
Not at all. Surprisingly, I left the Air Force, and shortly after, my people were coming to me, and they were asking me to come and really be part of the process, because the situation in Bauchi is really, really horrible. Even in Bauchi town itself, I visited quite a number of primary schools where I saw pupils sitting down on the floor. This is not something I'm used to. In the Air Force, you visit all our schools. Children are, in their classes, not more than 30 in a class, and every child has a table, has a seat, and that was the kind of school I also attended. But unfortunately, we have leaders that are not responsive to the needs of society, and I think they are in that process generating internal security crisis even for the country. So it is really sad. Like I said, you look at all the statistics for Bauchi State, very appalling statistics. You have 29.9% net attendance in schools, which means virtually nobody is going to school. And that is not surprising, because if you look at the infrastructure, it's not there. There are no teachers. There are schools where you have only one teacher, who is the headmaster, the teacher, the man teaching English, the teacher that is teaching maths, just one person. So how would people attend? And you have people that are seated there that are supposed to really provide solutions to these problems. But unfortunately, the PDP government in Bauchi State has totally failed, and it is sad.
So you retired from the force, having spent the best part of your military career serving the nation, but this is what your opposition thinks. They think that you retired, and you are tired actually. You spend your active years in as a military man, and that the energy that you would have used in governing the people of Bauchi State is not there. Those are the words and those are the criticism coming from your opponent. How do you convince Nigerians and Bauchi people tonight that you are really deserving of their vote to lead them, having retired? Your opponent said you are tired already.
Shewa, I'm not tired. I'm retired but not tired. I can tell you that. The governor himself is older than me. We're in the same secondary school with him, 2 years ahead of me. So the issue of age, or the fact that I have been in the service, I have been a very active person right from time, and I am still extremely active. And I think that I have all it takes to really add value to society, add value to what is on ground. At least I will not be there in charge of Bauchi State, and then you have children in classes sitting on the floor. It will not happen. Similarly, I will not be there in government house. You'll have 1,549 women dying just because of lack of care. These are fundamentals. These are the issues that we should be really talking. But unfortunately, the governor is bringing other issues in order to distract the attention of the population. But the population is very familiar with all the issues that are supposed to be addressed, which he has failed to address. Issues like salary, payment of salary. There are people that have not been paid salary for 9 months, for 7 months, for 6 months, And, how do you explain that? Then you are now building an office that is worth about 9 billion. Meanwhile, you don't even have tables and chairs in your schools. And I think he is trying, all these insecurity issues that he's creating is to distract the minds of people from their main concern, which is development.
All right. So let me go into one area, because I like to clear all of these controversies. Then we go into what your plans are in governing the people of Bauchi State. In fact, the governor yesterday had said that you are orchestrating the violence leading up to the election and during the campaigns, that you in fact had boasted in some quarters that you have been in the military and you have going to use the force of the military to deal with your opponent. Now, and he also said on the program yesterday that one of your members is now being declared wanted. The governor wrote a letter to the president informing him about this. He said he's worried about it, that everywhere you went, there was violence. Perhaps let me allow you to listen for yourself in case you did not watch yesterday. This is what Governor Bala Mohammed said yesterday. I'd like you to respond to him.
Well, I can see the use of violence as an obstacle, the militarization of the polity by the contestant from the APC, who is a former chief of air staff, who is using his military background to terrorize and even kill people in the various constituencies. On the facts, anywhere he went, 3 people were killed. And so in Akuyam, in Mr. Local Government, there were shootings and 2 people died. In Al-Galeri, my local government, 2 places, people were maimed, and in my village, 1 or 2 people died. And in Toro, there was a lot of gunshots when he was going around. What I'm saying, all the other candidates have gone around. I have been to all the local governments. I slept in every local government, and there was no any incident. During the campaign of the APC gubernatorial candidate, lives were lost and properties destroyed. And there were alleged shooting by some cyber military officers working with him, which we found very absurd and unbecoming. And of course, they have been invited to come and account for this. And that is why the police have declared one of his members wanted, because they believe they are above the law. They believe they can unleash terror on people. Definitely all this campaign of propaganda, or campaign of calumny will not serve him anything. Definitely, from all indications, he's the one planning thuggery and violence, and he's trying to just create a decoy so that people would think it's the PDP. If we had any history of violence, it would have been seen when we are campaigning. Why is it that it's only during his own campaign trail that you witness violence and all this unpleasant development?
All right, Marshal. Those are the words, and that was words of Governor Bala Mohammed, and those are the allegations and accusations he made yesterday on the program. How do you react to them?
We appear to have some technical problems.
I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Now,
please go ahead. Yeah.
You see, Mr. I joined the Air Force for 42 years. I have been in the forefront of protecting the lives and properties of Nigerians for 42 years. Do you think it is at this tail end when I'm almost 60? I left home at the age of 19 to join the Air Force. And I spent the entire 41 years at least, fighting to protect the lives of Nigerians until I got to the highest position in the Air Force as the Chief of the Air Staff. And I'm sure your people have been covering our activities in the Air Force when I was the Chief of the Air Staff. It doesn't make sense for somebody who has spent this time to come and to come and then be creating problem in his own state. So when you look at the violence in Bauchi State, it only happened in 2 locations. One location is a town called Akuyam. Akuyam is the hometown of the PDP chairman. The second location is Duguri, which is the hometown of the governor. When we wanted to go to Akuyam, the PDP chairman organized tax, and they tried to stop us. The first day I said, no, let's cool down, let's reorganize and then go in. See, the people want us to go and meet them. So we didn't even go the first day, but they smashed so many windscreens of the advanced party, the people that went there. PDP talks organized by the governor and his chairman, the PDP chairman, were the ones that attacked us. And in the process, we were told that there were some shootings took place. I don't know. I have not seen any report to say there was any shooting. There is no any investigation that has been carried out to say there was indeed shooting. These are just claims that the governor is making. The second place where there was shooting was his own hometown. I went to his hometown. Before then, there were all sorts of stories that the governor will ensure that I don't get to Duguri. I said, no, nobody can stop me from going anywhere. I visited 20 local governments. And in no local government, except these 2 locations, that we had any incident. He was talking about Toro. He was talking about Misau. All these are lies, absolute lies. So these 2 locations where this incident took place were really his hometown and the hometown of the PDP chairman. And they didn't want us to go there because they saw the level of acceptance. People were coming in their thousands in hot sun, waiting for us to arrive. And he didn't like that. So he decided that, look, we are not going to Akuyam, which is the PDP chairman's hometown. And we are not going to Duguri. Before coming to Duguri, we passed through so many towns and villages. Nobody shot anybody until we go to Duguri.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Let's continue our conversation with Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, a former Chief of Air Staff and the APC governorship candidate in Bauchi State. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. Let's get to talking about your ambition. What exactly is the prompt or the inspiration for your ambition of wanting to become Bauchi governor?
Well, just before I go into that, I want to still complete what I was telling you with regards to the insecurity that was generated by the chief security officer of the state. That's the governor himself. Like I said, we visited 20 local governments, no security issues anywhere. The only time we had issue was in Akuyam, which is the hometown of the PDP chairman, which the PDP chairman with the governor organized attacks to attack us. and they claimed there were shootings and some people were injured. I don't know how true that is, because no investigation, nothing has come out of it. Similarly, the second occasion was his hometown. You know, Duguri, he has claimed and boasted that the APC campaign train will not get to his town. I said, no, we must go and campaign and try to win the hearts and minds of our people. Because certainly, even in his hometown, they know that he has failed. The schools are not functioning. There's no water. There's no potable water there. The youths are there, not employed. No skill acquisition program for the youths. No palliatives for the women. Everybody is suffering. So therefore, we decided that no, we must go around all the local governments and all the towns that we need to go to. And it was when we got there that he now organized thugs to attack us. We had finished. I walked about 150 meters, on my foot. I mean, I came out of the vehicle and was walking through the streets of the town. It was when we got to the podium to do the campaign that we started seeing people running from one direction. The next thing I saw was three of them that were shot. One was shot in his stomach. The second one was shot in his hand. The third one was shot in the leg and then the back. So we took them to the teaching hospital in Bauchi. These are things that can be verified, unlike his own claims. And I have on several occasions asked him to make a simple statement, which I have made severally. I have called on my supporters not to shed anybody's blood and not to take anybody's life, because I have been in the field of ensuring that the blood of innocent people is not shed and nobody's innocent life is taken. So it's easy for me to really fit into this. But he has failed. I have urged him, I have challenged him. Just come and make this simple statement that don't shed the blood of anybody, my supporters. Don't take the life of anybody. And I can tell you that up till now, he has not picked that challenge. He cannot do it because he is actually out to create insecurity. And you can see it even from my own the press conference that I gave on this particular incident.
All right. So in all of this, let's get back to, if you have landed on that point that you wanted to make, or the governor has had his say yesterday, now you have had your reply. Let's get into why the people of Bauchi State should consider you as the best man for the job. And I asked you earlier, what was the inspiration for you wanting to become the governor of Bauchi State?
Okay, Seun, you see, I've been addressing internal security problems in Nigeria for almost 6 years as the chief of the air staff. And where the factors that generate internal security are actually at the lower level. Once you don't have schools, you have 1.4 million out-of-school children in Bauchi. These children in the next 20 years or in the next 15 years, where will they be? Probably some of them will be carrying AK-47 and they'll be on the road. I want to go back to where we are generating the insecurity issues and try to address them. And you must understand also, and I'm sure you know, that security and development are two sides of the same coin. In my National War College project, I wrote on Nigeria's internal security dilemma, a need for strategy change. And that strategy change is talking about paying special attention to social, economic, and political dimensions of security, not only physical security. Security is not only about bullets and bombs. So I have dealt with the issue at the level of the chief of the air staff, where we use, the definition of security from the fiscal perspective. I want to go back to my people, add value, get back those 1.4 million children back to school. There's absolutely no reason why those students, out of those students, there are lawyers, there are doctors, there are air marshals, there are generals, but they have shut down the schools.
But how do you, let's talk about, you've talked about your track record. Let's talk about how you hope to achieve it, because these are the practical steps. I like to talk about practical steps. A lot of people have ideas about the good things of life and how they wish it could happen. This is a generic manifesto or campaign agenda, but let's talk about the specifics. How do you hope, first and foremost, you talk about the classrooms, which you have criticized your opponent that is not dealing with. Give us an idea of how many classrooms are you hoping to fix within the first year? How much are you planning to spend? And what exactly are you doing to sustain that kind of development in the education sector? Let's start with that, for example.
Right. The major issue is about transparency and accountability in resource management. The resources coming to Bauchi State and what is being generated internally, that is the internally generated revenue. And if we really look at the agricultural sector and really invest in agriculture, we are going to enhance the economy of the state. We'll have more resources to be able to actually deal with these issues. But what is happening now is there's total lack of transparency in governance in Bauchi State. The resources coming from the federal government, how are they utilized? You know, I just told you about an office that was initially, supposed to consume about 6 billion. It's now reviewed to about 9 billion. You know, and there's no transparency in the entire process.
What are you going to do differently? This matter of transparency is also, it's a generic word. We're looking at what is in specific will be done. And I gave you a timeline, a template actually, within the first year, for example. How many schools are you hoping to fix? How many desks and chairs you said are not there? Are you hoping to put back in the classrooms? And how much will this cost you? Where is the money going to come from?
The money is going to come from the process. The money is going to come from what we are getting in the state as internally generated revenue and what we are getting from the federation allocation. If it is transparently used, that's why I'm telling you that the money is not utilized, and that's why they have abandoned everything. Even the civil service itself has virtually collapsed. The civil service is located now within the government house. The civil servants are not involved in the process of what is happening. So there is absolute lack of transparency. Even the payment of salary is a contractor that is paying salary. The State Ministry of Finance does not know how much is being paid. They don't know how much the contractor is being paid. They don't know who this contractor is. These are the fundamental issues that are making it extremely difficult for the governor to address the real needs of the people. When he came on board, he promised to pay salaries. He's not paying salaries now. He promised to pay pension. He's not paying pension. You know, so once you can get a transparent process and you get the civil service functioning properly, I have managed men and resources in the Nigerian Air Force. The idea of just having a small kitchen cabinet within government house to run the entire resources of the state will not translate into anything. And that is why we are having problems. You must allow the civil service to function.
Sorry, apologies. I keep cutting in because I wanted to get the people of Bauchi to get a specific mandate, promise from you so that you have something to look forward to. If you say that the government of the day is not doing something well, what would you do better? How do you hope to do it better? How are you different? And what are you going to be doing differently? And I've given an example of the school. You've moved to the issue of the civil service. In that regard, what are you going to do differently? In terms of transparent dealing of civil service structure in the state, how are you going to deal with that?
You see, the problem is get the civil service to become functional. Train civil servants. Because most of those guys that are in the, that's why I'm telling you that the civil service as the bureaucratic arm of the government has virtually collapsed. Nothing is going through them. The whole entire process is happening within government house. And that is because people, the system does not want to show that it is transparent. Everything is just within the government house, a few individuals and the governor. And that is why I'm telling you that right now, nobody knows who is, the total amount for salary, they said is about 7 billion. But that is just what they are telling us. The civil service itself is not part of the process. They don't participate. They have a contractor that is handling this thing. And nobody knows how much the contractor is even paid and who that contractor is, working for. So first and foremost, get the civil service to function properly. If there is need for training, train those guys so that they will be part of the process and everything will be transparently done. And people will begin to understand that, yes, the resources coming to the state is channeled to where it's required. They are not able to do all these things, providing tables, chairs in schools, even in the state capital, simply because the resources that is supposed to go there It's not going there. And who are those managing resources? Those few individuals.
All right.
This is what I'm saying. I need to look at the health sector. If you look at the health sector as well, recently, for days, there was no electricity even in the state, specialist hospital. When I was growing up, the hospital was called a general hospital. But what we had that time is far better than what we have today. Today, they are calling it specialists. But there's nothing specialists about it. Because the equipment is not there. Drugs are not there. There's no electricity even there.
All right. Hey, Marshal, yeah, we need to wrap up now. And on a final note, can you tell the people of Bauchi State tonight and Nigerians, I mean, you've spoken about your track record and you've spoken about the things that you think are not right, but should you become the governor of Bauchi State? And I keep saying over the interviews I've been having with those who are running for governor in the different states, is that every state needs to have their own identity, just like every human being have their own distinct DNA. What kind of DNA would you like Bauchi to have? How would you like Bauchi to be noted or different from other states? What are you exporting out of Bauchi? What production should Bauchi be noted for? As a final word tonight.
Okay, like I said earlier, what I want to do is to first and foremost address those basic needs of society. Education. Education is the bedrock of every society. Get the educational system functioning. Make sure that those out-of-school children that are likely going to be mobilized for violence in the future are back into the classrooms. And we are going to do that using transparently using the resources allocated to the state and the one that we are generating internally. We are going to make sure that the civil service is actually playing the role it's supposed to play, a bureaucratic arm of government where all the processes will go, they will formulate policies, they will give us the policy, implement the policies, and then get the civil service functioning, send them for training. Most of them have not been trained. They don't even, most of the guys there are having difficulty even handling file and filing system. So get the system functioning and then come up with a very transparent government where people can see that they have the ownership of government. Government is about human beings. It's not about few individuals in government house. So you must create that sense of ownership of the state. And that is exactly what we are going to do. And we'll do it together with the people.
All right. Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, former Chief of Air Staff and the APC governorship candidate in Bauchi State. Thank you so much indeed for your time, and I wish you the very best on Saturday. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, now, yesterday, of course, you know that the governor of Ebonyi State, Governor Dave Umahi, was at the presidential villa. And for those who have been thinking about the politics of the National Assembly, is already talking about that idea and what he thinks is going to be fair going into the 10th National Assembly. Let me remind you of what he said.
Zoning, must be done by the party. The party should not allow people to, everybody to jump to the race. And in doing zoning, when the time comes, they must look at all the parameters so that we can carry all the regions along. This is very important, but I won't want to say further because the party director, we shouldn't talk about it until we have done our elections. But just be assured that APC is getting very strong in Southeast.
All right, then, that is the governor of Ebonyi State, Governor Dave Umahi. One of the conversations that will be coming after the governorship election, the politics of the National Assembly, and how the incoming government will have to settle down and get things done in view of the court, the petition at the tribunal over that matter. So much more in our politics after all this election. Now, let's switch gears now and take you to the north-central region of the country, precisely in Kwara State, where we'll be speaking tonight with the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party. We've reached out to other candidates like the APC candidate and the governor of the state. But tonight we have with us Mr. Yahman Abdullahi, who is the governorship candidate of the PDP in Kwara State. It's good to see you, Mr. Abdullahi. Thank you so much indeed for joining us tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Good evening.
Yeah. How is the campaign going in the state of Harmony? State is being known for peaceful elections in the past, and I hope that things have gone in that direction. But I mean, the showing of your party, PDP, in the last election doesn't look like exactly what your party wanted. Perhaps one thing that is making experts and critics say that may be the same pattern in which the election of Saturday will go. If that is the case, it means that you are far from from getting your ambition of becoming Kwara governor.
No, anyway, good evening, viewers. Yeah, that is a very wrong hypothesis. If you look President the one that was given to the presidential candidate of the APC, the difference was about 100,000. But if you look very well, the addition of the votes for the senators, the 3 senators combined, and our 3 senators combined, the difference is just about 20,000 votes. And what that means is that the 20,000 is easily coverable because we know the tricks. We now know very well the tricks and the rigging that were done by the APC. And so by the next election Saturday, you see a remarkable difference between what happened the last 2 Saturdays and that will happen in the next 3-4 days.
So give us an understanding. You said there were rigging. What kind of rigging? You said you know the techniques. Can you tell Nigerians about it?
Yeah. You see, rigging can manifest itself in several forms, including vote buying. Because the whole idea of democracy is for the people to bring out their preferred leader. But when you improvise the people and you wait till they are hungry and thirsty and you dole out peanuts for them to re-elect you so that they can suffer for the next 4 years, there can't be a worse rigging than that. And that's precisely what has happened in this election in Kwara State. The government had all the money and kept on telling the people that there was no money to do any project. For the first time in the 55 years of Kwara State, this is the only government that would not commission any project at all. And this is the government that has had with it about 500 billion naira collected, and nothing has been done. Little did we know that all the money was being saved for the re-election of the incumbent. And, you know, the facts are sacred. They can come out and say, this is what we commissioned. Nothing at all, not even one. Yet, the people of Kwara State, I mean, hunger is there, very palpable. People were shouting in Yoruba, the town is hungry, the town is hungry. And the governor could not respond with anything for the people, only for him to come out on the 2-3 days to the election by doling out billions and billions of naira to the people only for re-election. It's never been done. It's unprecedented in Kwara State. Kwara is a peaceful state, but this one, in addition to the peace, what we have now is the peace of the grave, because the people have been pauperized, they have been impoverished, they've gone to the extreme end of hunger. And so everything that you give them, they want to just survive on that. And that's exactly what this government has done to the people of Kwara State. So yes, when I tell you rigging, I mean on the streets, money was being distributed to everybody. Everyone that came there to vote was offered money. And this is the truth. I mean, you can investigate that.
No, but I mean, is it also far away from what they said that maybe those who are on the ground are saying some of the top parties actually gave out money, only that some outpaid each other. The accusation is that your party also was involved in that.
Well, I don't know of that. In Kwara State, you can ask anybody. We didn't dole out a penny because we thought people were going to abide by the principles of democracy, that is, respecting the will of the people. We never thought inducement was going to be part of it, because what they did was to truncate the whole principles of democracy. And don't see how PDP will go against its own very principles. So I'm at the center of this, and I know that we did it. But in spite of that, I tell you, apart from the presidential that they had so much, and that tells you a story. That tells you that the people, even though they collected the money, a lot of them voted for Tinubu, but some of them collected the money and refused to vote for them. That is the extent to which this government of Kwara State is being hated by the people. So what I'm saying is, give us another Saturday, but come to the streets. It's very easy. Come to the streets of Kwara today. You see how money is flying left, right, and center. How people are transferring money to people that don't even know, who are sending the money to them, all in the name of just going back. And this stands democracy on its head. Until something very serious is done, then the whole concept of democracy in Nigeria will be bygone. I'm unhappy that I'm coming from a state that is taking this to the crescendo. I'm unhappy that I'm coming from a state that does not know that people matter. All that matters to them is money. And so they can provide the people only to wait at the time when the people are about to die and feed them with thirsty people, give them droplets of water so that they can survive, so that they can get elected.
All right, Mr. Abdullahi, if you look at the votes, I'm going to come to one of the reasons why you perhaps would think that you are fit and have the capacity to be governor of Kwara State, and based on what the people of the state will be voting for, it's 126,663 votes that is between you and the APC in the presidential election. And the presidential election was won in 15 states, 15 local government areas out of the 16 local government areas. And for those who have followed the politics of Kwara State over the last years, 4 years ago, the campaign was tagged Otoge, the campaign that saw the APC defeating your party in that state, and perhaps the structure of the likes of Bukola Saraki, who is the leader of your party in the state, seems to have been badly battered by that election since 4 years ago. And the APC, a few days ago, were saying that they actually destroyed that structure, and it can no longer stand any form of election in Kwara State. These are some of what they are saying on the ground, that the Otoge syndrome is still holding sway against the position of your party.
Okay, it may interest you that I was one of the captains of Otoge. In fact, the present governor joined us when we had started Otoge. He was welcome into Otoge. He was not part of us. And we were the captains of Otoge. But we didn't know, because he was actually foisted on us. He didn't win that election. And to put the party, the APC, paid back to us our money that paid for the forms. The fees were paid back to us, and we only said that we were paid just because they knew that there was no justice in primaries. And so this guy was foisted on everybody. But that was not justice. We accepted him. But we realized almost immediately that the wrong captain has been given to the right ship. And so the ship of state was about to sink. What we saw was not just the tip of the iceberg. We could see danger, palpable danger if we in water. So all of us, and asked him, of all the captains of Otoge who today is with him, we all left him because this guy was driving the ship of state into a state of partition. And we all left. The truth is, the guy doesn't seem to know what to do. How can you take 500 billion? This guy has not even organized local government election. Yet he collects the money for the local governments every month, and everything he has put together for whatever we do. And so Kwara cannot afford the luxury of a blind captain in a ship where human beings.
All right. So, Mr. Abdullahi,
Yes.
let's talk about the issues and not about personalities. So, because the other person you are speaking about is not able to defend himself. So let's deal with the issue. which the people of Kwara State perhaps will be looking forward to, and that is the manifesto, the agenda to better their lives. Let's check some of your own manifesto. What is at the fulcrum of your manifesto? What exactly is your agenda of wanting to become a Kwara State governor?
Prosperity. What we've realized is, and this is a very serious issue, and I think it applies to the whole of Nigeria and indeed the whole of Africa. People come, and I was happy you asked the same question to my predecessor on this show. A lot of people just come and say, we want to be governor, want to be governor. And the simplest question the electorate fails to ask, the question of, you want to tower 1,000 kilometers, build 200 hospitals, do that and this, where will the money come from? I'm happy you asked that very relevant question. And this is the question that nobody asks. A lot of our leaders, and this is why we do not have leaders, because the challenge is not in spending money. The challenge is in being able to spend the money for the prosperity of your people. And so, for us, why we have seen a serious deficit in the resources for the people of our state. So what we are bringing is prosperity. And in fact, for those who have been Kwara, all that we've written on our billboards and our flyers and everything is a prosperous Kwara.
So how do you hope to achieve the prosperity?
Thank you.
Some would say that Kwara State is largely a civil service state. So when you're talking about prosperity, you're talking about a state that has huge and enormous burden of civil servants to take care of every month. And the issue of human capital development is on one hand. You're talking about prosperity. What exactly do you mean by that?
Exactly. Thank you very much. See, the problem is most governments, including Kwara State government, are being spoon-fed by the federation account. It may interest you that up till very recently, I was the commissioner representing Kwara State in revenue mobilization and fiscal commission. And so I should know that the dwindling fortunes of this country is obvious. I mean, fossil oil is getting out of the economy of most states. And even the value of the dollar is coming down. And so there are dangers, foreseeable dangers, that what we get from even the so-called federation account very soon will vanish, either in value or vanish altogether. So the alternative for us is to look at the lowest hanging fruits in our state, which is agriculture. Kwara State has the unique position of big, huge, fertile lands, big river Niger, passes through our state, and young, able-bodied men who can be trained. All that is required of us is, one, to look at the crops that can sustain the kind of prosperity that we want to bring. And for us in Kwara, we have chosen quite a number of them. What we want to do is, in the north of Kwara, we want to do cotton revolution. Part of Kwara, Barotain, Kayama also form part of the cotton belt of West Africa, coming from Burkina Faso, Benin, Barotain, across there to Niger State, Wawa, Babana, across to Katsina State, you have Funtua, up to Yola and up to. So we want to do that. And then in the center, we also want to make Ilorin the commercial hub of this country, because Ilorin occupies a unique position in this country. About 16 northern states use the Pegina-Ilorin road to Lagos. And if we can, as we are planning to do, persuade the federal government to dredge River Niger, which is being dredged by rope.
Mr. Abdullah, yeah. Just before, apologies, just before I allow you to go, and this is how I would like you to anchor quickly, just in about 30 seconds, please, is for you, should you become the Kwara State governor, how would you like Kwara State to be noted? When there are mentioned states in the country, how would you like Kwara State to be referenced?
Kwara should be referenced as an agricultural and industrial hub of this nation, because we have all that can sustain those two. And we want to be noted as one of the most prosperous states in the Federation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdullahi, the governorship candidate of the PDP in Kwara. Thank you so much indeed, and I wish you the very best in the coming Saturday election in your state. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you very much. I will invite you for my swearing. I hope you will come.
I mean, I hope if you win, and I hope that your opponent will also say the same thing. But we are here to do our jobs. I wish you the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank
I appreciate
All
it.
Right.
It's the second round of the elections on the 18th of March. Nigerians will again march to the polls, this time to elect governors and members of the state houses of assembly. Channels Television has got all that covered for you, with our team of reporters across the country, covering all the states for all the stories and the announcement of winners. Watch Channels Television's coverage of the 2023 governorship and state houses of assembly elections. Channels Television, a network built on trust.
Thanks so much, everyone. One more stop before we call it a day on the program tonight. I'm being joined by a former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Yakubu Dogara. He joins us live from Bauchi. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. I know that you'll be itching to respond to some of those issues that were raised here today. There are those issues on the camping from the PDP to the APC and back to the APC and back to the PDP. I mean, what exactly is the matter? Because the governor did say yesterday that it doesn't really understand why you are coming at him.
Thank you, Sean, for having me. And I must confess, I watched your show yesterday, or your program, and my attention was drawn to it. That the governor of my state mentioned me by name, and I thought that it's only proper for me to be given the opportunity to respond. When I watched it, what came to my mind is that it was a pathetic spectacle. Pathetic spectacle in the sense that he deployed two known tactics that virtually every informed person knows. It was sophistry as of a spin doctor, and then the mastery of a con artist. Now, what a con artist does is to try to keep you focused on what you stand to gain while distracting you from focusing on what you stand to lose. A spin doctor repeats a line. Even if it is a line, he repeats it so often, keeps hitting that line so that people will believe it. This time around, you know, I've had the governor say so much about me, say so much about my politics. But before, he's been saying it to his Z-list cast of nodding dogs. But this time around, he took it outside, and it is only appropriate for me to respond to those issues. Let me start with this. In the first place, did he offer me platform to run for House of Representatives in 2019? Whatever I'm going to say here, Sean, please fact-check it. I challenge you to fact-check the governor and fact-check me. When we're negotiating to move from the APC to the PDP, the only reason I agreed to contest then was because the sitting governor has said that he was going to bury me politically. And I announced it, okay, let me take the ticket and see how he is going to bury me politically. And so in the process of negotiation, automatic ticket to run for House of Representatives was given to me. And I was offered, together with my colleagues at the National Assembly. Distinguished Senator Nazif is alive. Distinguished Senator Issa Hamma is alive. The former Senate President, Senator Bukola Saraki, is alive today. You can verify from them. They gave us 51% of the escrow at the state, including the chairman, the state chairman of the party, before we moved to the PDP. But I had to counsel them that it was just at the nick of elections. And if we had any change on the structure of the party, it was going to affect our fortunes. And we now say, okay, let's leave whatever the arrangement was there, provided all of us had the ticket to run for the offices we were gunning for. And that assurance was given. So imagine if we had taken 51% of the ESCO in Bauchi State. I tell you that that platform was conceded to us, but we now conceded it to Kwara for him to run for governorship of Bauchi State. So the assertion that he gave me platform is neither here nor
all right
there.
So let me quickly ask you, Honorable Dogara,
he didn't have any value.
All right, let me ask you, can you also explain, because he said that there is instability in your political career, that you have moved from here and there, over there. I mean, let's clarify. Are you a member of the PDP or the APC at the moment? What party do you belong?
Okay, let me say this. If you said there's instability, is he stable? When he ran for Senate, was it in PDP? We saw what happened at the level of the National Assembly when he moved the so-called motion, and then later he moved across to PDP. So if moving to PDP from the party that first took him to Senate didn't qualify him to be called politically unstable, he can't now say that I'm suffering from instability. But the truth, as I was telling you, is that we have tested our political strength here in Bauchi. We have two races. In the first place, there was a runoff election in that local government. He came out, cast the narrative as a battle between himself and myself. That election held, and I can tell you, my candidate came tops. In this election, he fielded a candidate to take over my seat. I fielded my own candidate, and I must confess to you that we defeated him. His senator, his member from his local government is an APC member. He was defeated at the level of his local government. The senator representing him now at the Senate, who will take over from the current senator, is an AP senator that I backed. We defeated him. So if political instability in someone's political life leads to
Honorable, my question is, apologies.
Unstable and having victory,
just a moment. My question is, what party do you belong now? Are you in the APC or the PDP, or you are an independent candidate?
I must tell you, Shaun, I am supporting candidates. I'm not doing any political party for now. I'm supporting candidates. Everybody knows that I backed Atiku Abubakar for the presidency for reasons I've told the whole world. But in Bauchi State, before primaries were concluded, I had supported the aspiration of Air Marshal Sadiq, who is the current APC governorship, and I had my candidates for houses of assembly in my constituency. I had a senatorial candidate. I had a House of Representative candidate that I helped midwife them into those positions. I can't abandon them for the sake of political stability.
Honorable, sorry, apologies because you're out of time. Just a moment. Just a moment, because I needed to wrap this up quickly because we're out of time. Now that you said that you're backing candidates, now the election of the president is settled. And I asked you, you said you're not a member of the political party. Are you supporting APC in Bauchi State? Are you supporting Bola Tinubu now that the election has been settled?
Well, I've not come to that decision yet. Maybe I'll decide very soon. But one thing I want you to know is that I'm not an unstable character at all. I know what I'm doing, and then I keep myself focused on my goals so that I don't drop the ball. That is why I am. But for the governor, you all saw him. When he's talking about political clout, he tried it at the national level, invested so much money belonging to Bauchi State on that project. What did he come out with? 20 votes. I can assure you that if I had run for the presidential primaries in PDP, even without spending 1 penny belonging to a state, I assure you that I will garner more than 20 votes. So it's either he was able to gather all the votes in Bauchi because Bauchi State had 20 local government and 20 votes. He lost some votes in Bauchi and got some votes in some other state. And how bad of a politician could you be if you lost votes from your state. And I wanted to talk to the issue of insecurity that is hitting so much.
Well, unfortunately, we are totally out of time, Honorable. But I'm happy that you are able to ventilate your mind about some of these issues. We should find time, maybe after this election, so that you can come talk to us. But thank you so much, sincerely. Former Speaker of the House of Reps, Honorable Yakubu Dogara.
I'll certainly find time to address the issues in detail, because
Absolutely.
I didn't have much.
Yeah, there's not much time. So please, kindly, the invitation is an open one. Please, kindly oblige. Thank you so much indeed.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for being part of it. I'm sure, Akimale, I'll see you tomorrow again.